Hi, so lots of people always want to know what angelfish habitat looks like. This is it. This is a really neat igarape. It's a lot of water in it now, so it's actually kind of hard to find angelfish because there's a lot of water for them to practice the art of evasiveness. But this is a pretty complicated branch snaggle, and I've seen some angelfish in here before, and I'm hoping they'll still be there when I go to show you. But it's very complicated habitat, lots of branches, lots of leaf litter. The water's moving a little bit, and it's about, it's a little bit, it's like more than waist deep for me. So it's not that deep, but it's also not that shallow.
As we submerge the camera, I'll point out that the water looks a little bit cloudier here at this site than it did in most of the other flooded forest sites. That's just kind of the way that this particular place was. There was a lot more flow here. This was a much larger igarape and sort of at the opening of the igarape. And here's an autumn angel. There were a bunch of these at this site, and they are just absolutely gorgeous fish. Just fabulously beautiful fish. There were lots of cichlids that were hanging out at this site too, a bunch of Acarichthes heclai. But this habitat was just fabulous for angelfish. They really like this complex branch tangle type habitat, like lots of woody debris, lots of driftwood, branches and sticks and things that are vertically oriented. These fish really sort of like to stake those out and spawn on and near them and around them. And these fish were probably starting to do that and protect these particular favorite sticks from the other guys and try to use them for their own breeding. A lot of that stuff going on in this particular habitat. And these angelfish, these autumn angels, are just very beautiful fish. And this site, Prashuri Tuba, is an igarape on the Rio Domini. Look at that bright orange blaze on that fish. Just so weird for a wild fish, but just absolutely gorgeous. And I will say that the angelfish on this river, and particularly on a gradient as you go up the Rio Negro River, angelfish get weird. There are a couple of variations in morphology and in the behavior of the fish and the look of the fish and things like that as you go up this river and up the Rio Negro, and they're just weird. These are autumn angels, but they're so weirdly large. It's the camera's really not showing it as striking as it is, but these fish are like probably 10-12 inches tall, like the size of a dinner plate. The orange doesn't really show up in this sort of tannin stained water with a little bit of suspended solids, but that the orange is really bright in real life. These fish, you can see they're very comfortable being out and about under these branches and things in the middle of the day here. And here's some flag cichlids too. Those fish, flag cichlids, were sort of the indicator that, if you see flag cichlids, you should look around a little bit harder because there might also be angelfish. They were almost always in the same types of habitat. And just seeing these fish is just so gorgeously beautiful. As far as the water chemistry is concerned too, very particular type of water chemistry. The pH here was 4.90 and the conductivity was almost non-existent. It was 33.9 microsiemens. So again, very particular types of water chemistry that you want to think about if you're recreating this habitat for your fish. And just seeing these fish behave like this in the wild and sort of stake out these the perfect stick to defend and to start spawning and stuff was just absolutely gorgeous and beautiful to see. Lots of really cool angelfish come from this region, from the Rio Negro, and on some of the previous trips we had seen Santa Isabel angels and Leopoldi angels. These autumns are just wow. It's all I can say is just wow. They're beautiful fish, and seeing them behave like this and kind of like sparring with each other and picking their favorite stick and all of that angelfish drama was just so cool to see in this gorgeous, beautiful habitat. And the gentle capture of many species of aquarium fish from habitat just like this drives conservation by providing sustainable livelihoods to rural families. And that's really important because the people who are participating in the fishery activity are active stewards of the environment because their livelihood depends on a good, clean, healthy rainforest ecosystem. And these fish depend on that too. And being the basis of the livelihood, the people protect the fish because that's their way of making a living. And that really staves off a lot of environmentally destructive industries that are rampant in other parts of the Amazon and really protects this habitat, which I can't think of a better way for us as fish keepers to support this than by our choice of fish and keeping these beautiful fish from this beautiful habitat.